From the Garden of Eden to the temples of the ancient world, the serpent has always carried a double meaning: temptation and wisdom, danger and healing. The cross, too, is more than a Christian emblem. It is a cosmic sign found in cultures across the globe, symbolizing balance, sacrifice, and transcendence. But what happens when the serpent and the cross meet? This is not just a story of religion. It is a journey into shared human symbols that shaped civilizations. Join us as we uncover the hidden links between these two powerful signs, the serpent and the cross. Throughout human history, symbols have spoken louder than words. They carry meanings that transcend languages, eras, and civilizations. Among these, two stand out for their universality, mystery, and enduring influence: the serpent and the cross. Seemingly opposite in form and meaning, one winding and fluid, the other fixed and geometric, they both represent humanity's eternal grappling with power, wisdom, life, and death. To understand them is to trace the hidden spiritual DNA of our species. This exploration will take us from the myths of Mesopotamia and Egypt to the temples of Mesoamerica, from the Hebrew Bible to Christian theology, and even into modern psychology. By the end, the serpent and the cross will reveal themselves not as separate symbols, but as two halves of a shared vision of existence. The serpent, a symbol older than civilization. Long before organized religions codified doctrine, human beings were already telling stories about serpents. Archaeological findings suggest that snake worship may be among humanity's earliest spiritual practices. The serpent's power lay in its duality, life and death. The serpent is venomous, a creature that can kill swiftly. Yet it is also a symbol of healing. In ancient Greece, the staff of Asclepius, entwined by a serpent, represented medicine and the power to restore life. Even today, it remains the global symbol of healthcare, wisdom, and knowledge. In many traditions, serpents embody secret knowledge. In Hinduism, the Naga serpents are guardians of sacred treasures and cosmic truths. In Africa, serpents like Dambala and Haitian Vodou symbolize creation and the bridge between spirit and matter, transformation and rebirth. Because snakes shed their skin, they became universal emblems of renewal. They appear endlessly young, immortal in their cycle of death and rebirth. The Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail, is one of the oldest mystical images in human history, found in both Egypt and Greece, symbolizing eternity and the unity of opposites. Thus, the serpent has always embodied a paradox: dangerous yet healing, deceptive yet wise, mortal yet immortal. The cross, a symbol beyond Christianity. When we think of the cross, Christianity immediately comes to mind. But the symbol predates the crucifixion of Jesus by millennia. At its core, the cross is a simple shape of intersecting lines, and therein lies its universal power: cosmic balance. The cross divides space into four directions: north, south, east, and west. In ancient cultures, it symbolized the order of the cosmos. The Native American medicine wheel, the Mayan world tree, and the Celtic cross all reflect this idea of balance and harmony, life and sacrifice. In Christianity, the cross became a symbol of suffering and redemption, of death leading to eternal life. But this theme of sacrifice is older than Christianity. In Norse mythology, Odin hung upon the world tree Yggdrasil, pierced by his own spear, to gain wisdom. His posture mirrored crucifixion, suffering transformed into knowledge. The meeting of heaven and earth. The vertical line of the cross represents transcendence, the path between the earthly and the divine. The horizontal line represents the human realm, community, and time. Their intersection is the point of union, the moment where eternity touches the present. Thus, like the serpent, The cross embodies paradox. It is both an instrument of death and a gateway to eternal life, both suffering and salvation. The serpent and the cross in ancient civilizations. The fascinating question is, what happens when these two symbols come together? History provides many examples. 1. Mesopotamia. Enki and the serpent of wisdom. In Sumerian myths, Enki, the god of water and wisdom, was closely associated with serpents. The rod and serpent motif was a sign of his power. The crossing of water channels, often drawn as intersecting lines, was another way of depicting the cosmic order he maintained. Already here, serpent and cross-like patterns united wisdom and life. 2. Egypt, the Ankh and the serpent. The Ankh, the Egyptian symbol of life, is essentially a cross with a loop. Serpents often appear alongside it, representing divine protection and eternal vitality. Pharaohs wore uraeus serpents on their crowns as symbols of divine authority, often paired with crosses or ankhs in hieroglyphs. 3. Greece and Rome, staff, serpent, and cross. The caduceus, staff of Hermes, shows twin serpents winding around a rod, an axis that echoes the vertical line of the cross. This staff symbolized balance, negotiation, and cosmic harmony. Roman soldiers also used standards resembling crosses, sometimes with serpentine designs, blending authority, wisdom, and power. 4. Mesoamerica, the cross and the feathered serpent. In Mayan and Aztec cultures, the feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, was a god of wisdom, wind, and creation. Ancient temples depict him with cross-like world trees, symbolizing the four directions. The feathered serpent at the center of the cosmic cross mirrors the idea of divine knowledge uniting heaven and earth. The serpent and the cross in the Bible. Perhaps the most intriguing meeting of serpent and cross occurs in the Hebrew and Christian scriptures. The serpent in Eden. In Genesis, the serpent tempts Eve with the fruit of knowledge. Here, the serpent embodies the dangerous side of wisdom, the knowledge of good and evil that brings suffering and mortality. But even in this story, the serpent is more than a villain. It is the agent of awakening, setting humanity on the path of consciousness. The bronze serpent of Moses. In the book of Numbers, God commands Moses to raise a bronze serpent on a pole so that the Israelites bitten by snakes might look upon it and be healed. This is a serpent upon a vertical axis, essentially a serpent cross symbol of salvation. The cross of Christ. Centuries later, the Gospel of John explicitly links Jesus' crucifixion to Moses' serpent. Just as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up. John 3 verse 14. Here, serpent and cross merge into one image, suffering transformed into healing, death into eternal life. Shared symbolism, power and wisdom. When viewed together, the serpent and the cross tell a single story. Wisdom through suffering. The serpent represents the knowledge gained through danger and risk. The cross represents the wisdom gained through suffering and sacrifice. Both insist that true wisdom is never cheap. It requires transformation. Life through death. The serpent sheds its skin. The cross takes life, but promises resurrection. Both declare that death is not the end, but a doorway to renewal. Power balanced by humility. The serpent is cunning, the cross humble. Yet both symbolize a higher kind of power, not domination, but transcendence, the ability to see beyond ordinary existence. Psychological and mystical interpretations. Modern thinkers have also found deep meaning in these symbols. Carl Jung saw the serpent as an archetype of the unconscious, representing both primal instincts and hidden wisdom. The cross, meanwhile, represented the integration of opposites, the reconciliation of spirit and matter. Alchemy fused the serpent Ouroboros with a cross-like philosopher's stone, symbolizing the ultimate transformation of the soul. Mystics in many traditions saw the serpent as the energy of life itself, the Kundalini serpent coiled at the base of the spine, which rises in a cross-like axis through the body's chakras toward enlightenment. Thus, even outside religion, these two symbols map the human journey of inner growth. Why these symbols still matter? In today's world, saturated with images and signs, the serpent and the cross endure. They appear in medicine, in national emblems, in jewelry, in art. Why? Because they speak to universal truths. We all encounter danger and temptation, yet within it lies the seed of wisdom. We all face suffering and mortality, yet within it lies the promise of renewal. The serpent and the cross remind us that life's greatest mysteries cannot be solved. They must be lived. The meeting point of eternity. At first glance, the serpent and the cross could not be more different. One is winding, fluid, elusive. The other is rigid, stable, unyielding. But in their very contrast lies their unity. To see them together is to enter into one of the deepest paradoxes of human spiritual imagination. They seem to oppose one another, yet each reveals truths the other cannot, and together they form a vision of wisdom that transcends any single culture or religion. This essay explores that paradox in depth, tracing how the serpent and the cross, as archetypal symbols, represent not merely ancient traditions, but humanity's enduring dialogue with life, death, knowledge, and transcendence. Part 1. The Serpent, Winding Wisdom. The serpent is one of the oldest symbols in human history. Long before writing, serpents slithered across cave walls and sacred carvings. To early humans, they were at once terrifying and fascinating. Their sudden strikes, their venom, their ability to shed skin, all made them embodiments of mystery. One life and death in one creature. The serpent is a paradox of mortality. It kills with venom, yet it symbolizes healing. In Greek culture, the staff of Asclepius, with a serpent entwined, was the sign of medicine. To look upon a snake meant danger, but also the hope of recovery. 2. Transformation and renewal. Snakes shed their skin, appearing reborn. To the human imagination, this became a metaphor for immortality. In Egypt, the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, represented eternity, the endless cycle of creation and destruction. In Hinduism, the Naga serpents embody cosmic energy and rebirth. 3. Wisdom and temptation. In myths, serpents are guardians of hidden treasures, often spiritual rather than material. They dwell at thresholds, testing those who seek knowledge. Yet, as in the biblical Eden, their wisdom can be dangerous. The serpent gives Eve the fruit of knowledge, awakening humanity, but also burdening it with mortality and toil. The serpent is elusive because wisdom itself is elusive. It cannot be grasped directly. It comes through struggle, danger, and often failure. Part 2. The Cross, the Axis of Reality. Where the serpent wins, the cross stands still. It is perhaps the most geometric of symbols. Two lines intersecting, one vertical, one horizontal. Yet in that simplicity lies profound depth. 1. The four directions. The cross divides the world into four. In Native American and Mayan traditions, it is the world tree spreading into the four directions of space. In Celtic traditions, it is a symbol of balance between the elements. The cross orders chaos, giving shape to the cosmos. 2. Life through death. For Christianity, the cross became the central symbol of salvation. It was not only an instrument of torture, but also the means by which life triumphed over death. Yet this idea that life is found through sacrifice is far older. In Norse mythology, Odin hangs himself upon Yggdrasil, pierced and suffering, in order to gain wisdom. His posture prefigures crucifixion. The cross is thus not only about pain, but about transformation through pain. 3. The union of heaven and earth. The vertical line represents transcendence, the path of spirit, eternity, and divine connection. The horizontal line represents human life, time, and community. At their intersection, eternity meets the present moment. The cross is not just geometry, but a map of human existence. Unlike the serpent, which resists definition, the cross imposes order. It is the grounding of chaos, the fixed point that allows eternity to touch time. Part 3. Serpent and cross in dialogue. When placed together, serpent and cross form a dynamic tension. The serpent climbs the cross, winding upward, a living energy on a rigid axis. The cross contains and directs the serpent, while the serpent animates and transforms the cross. Their combination is seen in many traditions. 1. The bronze serpent of Moses. In the Hebrew Bible, the Israelites suffer from snake bites. God instructs Moses to raise a bronze serpent on a pole, so that those who gaze upon it might be healed. This is a serpent upon a cross-like staff. It symbolizes the union of suffering, wisdom, and healing. 2. The crucifixion and the serpent parallel. In the Gospel of John, Jesus compares his own crucifixion to the bronze serpent. Just as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. Here, serpent and cross become one image, death raised up as the source of life, suffering transformed into wisdom. 3. The cosmic tree and the feathered serpent. In Mesoamerica, the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl is linked with the world tree or cosmic cross of the four directions. He is a god of wisdom, creation, and resurrection. The serpent in flight meets the axis of the universe. Again, serpent and cross intertwine. Part 4. The paradox of unity. Why does humanity repeatedly pair these two opposite symbols? The answer lies in their paradoxical unity, fluidity, and stability. The serpent represents change, unpredictability, and danger. The cross represents order, permanence, and balance. Together, they mirror reality itself. Life is both chaos and structure, wisdom and sacrifice. The serpent offers knowledge, sometimes at a cost. The cross demands sacrifice, but through it comes deeper wisdom. Both symbols point to the same truth. Wisdom cannot be gained without risk, pain, or transformation. Life through death. The serpent sheds its skin. The cross kills, but promises resurrection. Both declare that death is not the end, but the threshold of eternity. Thus, their unity is not superficial. It is the meeting of opposites that completes a larger vision. Part 5. Psychological and mystical insights. Modern thinkers and mystics have also reflected on these symbols. Carl Jung saw the serpent as an archetype of the unconscious, primal instincts, and hidden wisdom. The cross, for him, was the integration of opposites, a symbol of wholeness. The serpent on the cross represented the psyche's struggle to unite its shadow with its conscious self. Alchemy combined the Ouroboros serpent with cross-like geometries in the Philosopher's Stone, expressing the union of chaos and order, mortality and immortality. Mysticism across cultures interprets the serpent as life energy, such as Kundalini in Hinduism, which rises along the body's vertical axis, a living cross, to unite spirit and matter. In each case, serpent and cross are not only symbols of the outer world, but maps of the inner journey. Part 6. The meeting point of eternity. When serpent and cross unite, we stand at what can only be called the meeting point of eternity. The serpent is time's flow, cyclical, ever-changing, winding like a river. The cross is timelessness, the still point, the eternal axis that orders existence. At their intersection, time and eternity meet. The serpent needs the cross to be lifted upward, to find meaning in its movement. The cross needs the serpent to be alive, to avoid becoming static and lifeless. This is why the image of the serpent upon the cross, whether in Moses' bronze serpent, Christ's crucifixion, or Quetzalcoatl at the cosmic axis, recurs in human tradition. It represents the paradox that life and death, chaos and order, wisdom and sacrifice are not enemies, but partners. Together, they form the pattern of existence itself. Part 7. Why this symbol endures. In today's world of fractured meanings and fleeting symbols, why does the union of serpent and cross still resonate? Because it tells the truth about life. We cannot have growth without suffering, wisdom without risk, or life without death. Because it is universal. It appears in cultures as distant as Egypt, India, Mesoamerica, and Israel, proving that it reflects something fundamental in human consciousness. Because it is eternal. The serpent cross image is not just ancient history. It lives on in medicine staff of Asclepius, in Christian crucifixes, in esoteric symbols, and in modern psychology. The meeting point of eternity is not somewhere else. It is here and now, where suffering transforms into wisdom, where death becomes the seed of life, where chaos and order embrace. At first glance, the serpent and the cross could not be more different. One is winding, fluid, elusive. The other is rigid, stable, unyielding. But in their very contrast lies their unity. The serpent teaches us that wisdom comes through risk, danger, and transformation. The cross teaches us that transcendence comes through sacrifice, suffering, and death. Together, they reveal a truth deeper than either alone. Eternity is found not by fleeing paradox, but by embracing it. The serpent and the cross are mirrors of the human condition. We are creatures of chaos and order, mortality and immortality, wisdom and sacrifice. To hold these opposites together is to find the meeting point of eternity, the still point at the heart of life's eternal motion. The serpent and the cross are more than just symbols. They are mirrors of humanity's eternal search for meaning. Across cultures and faiths, they remind us that wisdom often comes through struggle, and that power is never separate from sacrifice. By seeing their shared threads, we uncover a deeper truth, that our stories, though told in different tongues, point to the same mysteries of life, death, and rebirth. Thank you for joining us on this exploration. If this journey sparked new thoughts, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hidden histories and ancient wisdom revealed.